What's going on, guys? So, in this presentation today, we will be covering the full history of Queensland's critical minerals exploration leases. We will be looking into where the concentrated clustering areas are as far as leases have gone throughout Queensland over the past 150 years, looking down the east coast and sort of through Western Queensland. Um, be looking into Queensland's historic production sites at both coal and critical minerals and which ore types have dominated in terms of most leases over historically. We will be looking at which operators have held the most leases historically and present across the state, which tenure types, mining leases, in addition to exploration permits and development licenses, have exponentially grown over time and historically. How these data sets link into the broader supply chain for battery, metals, and energy transition of commodities, what areas to capitalize on from an investment point of view. The opportunities this presents, both for analyst mining companies and investors from 2026 and beyond, as nickel minerals exploration, development, and production increases in Queensland. Hope you enjoy. What I'm going to be looking at is historic exploration leases, critical minerals in Queensland, in addition to Queensland critical minerals historical production. We're going to map it out and have a bit of a look. But before we start the episode today, what I want to do is I just want to touch on historically from 1871 to 1940 here. We've got some old mineral lease data from the Queensland Government Archive. And I just want to just talk about the gold rush in the late 19th century. Um, and you can see here that the number of leases really increased through the gold rush period here, right up into 1900 here, and then Federation 1901, and then 1906, post World War One really high as well. And I just want to have a bit of a look at what that was all about. Okay, so straight away we can see that Charters Towers here was a key location, and even to this day, still a key location for critical minerals. And it just makes you makes you raise the question of the historical places that had critical minerals or gold, maybe repurposed for critical minerals today. So I look down here, Charters Towers, we can see this is how it sort of performed throughout this period. Um, and if I just have a bit of a look here, 1896, for example, you can see all the different gold companies here with all the different leases. So just an interesting one there to have a bit of a look. And another area that I noticed historically that was quite prominent throughout the gold rush period in Queensland in the late 19th century and the early 20th century was Gympie, okay? And we sort of saw that through this period here, really strong here in 1898. And you can see quite a lot of different gold companies there again, okay? And that raises the question, could we see the same for minerals? All right, so what we're going to get into today is we're going to have a bit of a look here at um, the different minerals. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to minimize myself on the screen so everyone can sort of just see the content a little bit better. Okay, cool. All right, so this dashboard, it's historic exploration leases in critical minerals across Queensland. It shows every exploration lease issued in Queensland since the late 1800s here. 1873 is the start year. Each dot on the map represents a historic exploration permit. Okay, so this one here in the middle of looks kind of like Longreach Way to me. I can click on that and I can have a look. Some of it we do have missing data, so um, we do have a couple that we're not 100% sure on, but we can sort of Well, some of them we do have data for what company is, okay, what the start and the end year date is with the lease on the map, which just helps you pinpoint, historical cluster, um, you color coding by lease number here. So all the different colors just to gives you a bit of clarity around different leases. The bar charts break down the number of leases held by each company. So SO Exploration on 8 there, Majestic Resources 5. I'll click on this. I can see where that is. It just zooms me in on the map, tells me what the lease number is, when did it start, when did it end. Okay. I've also got the filter here that these are leases that expired between 2000 and 2025, so the last 25 years. Once again, it's around that Charters Towers area. So that would be an area that I would be looking into in the critical mineral space, where historic leases have been to further sort of explore for critical minerals in Queensland. And then Majestic Resources, not too far from, Charters Towers again here in the north, sort of Cloncurry base way. Mount Isa. So Mount Isa, Cloncurry, and Charters Towers sort of seem to be the areas there that I can pick up on straight away. Um, as I said, the timeline filter, this just helps us to start and end year, providing over 1,200 total recorded exploration permits. Okay, so that's how this dashboard works. I've got a lot of leases that I don't know about here. If I click on that, I don't know about um, that figure, but the ones I do know here, which is quite small, I can have a bit of a look here and just move around the map and have a look at what that sort of looks like. Okay. So that's always important with data-driven decisions. You want to know what sort of happened historically to understand future investment. All right, so this is production next. So the Queensland Critical Minerals historical production. So now we're moving into leases that actually produced critical minerals historically. Okay, now we're going to go to hard rock ore first. I can go well different ore types here, but hard rock ore will sort of allow me to sort of pinpoint and narrow that down a little bit more. So I've got hard rock ore. Can use my tree map here and go mine name. Okay, and that should come up. Yep, cool. All right, so I can have a look at Gympie, Victoria, and again, okay, so we know that Gympie's been a bit of a hotspot for critical minerals historically. If I go Gympie here, bang, okay, I come down and I can see, where that was historically, okay, on the map, ended in 2000. All right, and they had sort of 16 sort of mines in that particular period. And you can sort of see the length of the leases here. Okay. Um, Now, if I want to have a bit of a look next, we might go um, give North Star a go. What does that look like? Big red. Okay. And then yeah, basically it comes down again, start and end year for this one here, this big red mine, okay, which sort of seems to be outside Winton, in southwest Queensland. Or Winton's not southwest, sorry, it's the northwest Queensland. All right, so um, basically, um, ore types, as I said, they're categorized hard rock or historic production, alluvium, and regolith. We can see over 7,400 production leases, and the map reveals a dense cluster of production activity down the Queensland coast. Okay, so if I go back out again here and reload my map, it should show me quite a dense cluster here along the Queensland coast. Okay. The table below shows individual mines. As you can see here, these are all the different mine names. So if I have a bit more industry knowledge and I want to look around for different mines, I can have a look at where that historical production has been in the critical mineral space. And if I want to go to start end year, I can have a bit of a look here. Now, I think the latest end year here was 2016. Okay, so I can have a look at, what sort of expired here in 2016 and I can go around and go, okay, that's all these here. Okay, so I can look around. If I'm based in North Queensland, for example, outside Townsville, sort of towards Mount Isa, I might click on this here. And then I go, okay, that was the Ernest Henry mine, started in 97, finished up in 2016. All right, it was fiber. So this all just sort of improves your knowledge base, I guess, when you're um, in within the mining industry. Okay, so that's that one there. Next, we're going to go to number three next, which is my Queensland Critical Minerals historic tenures. All right, so we're just going to wait for that to load. Beautiful. This dashboard summarizes the entire tenure ecosystem, exploration permits, mineral development licenses, mining claims, and mining leases. Mining leases dominate historically with over 2,500 leases showing where activity progressed past exploration. Companies such as City Gold Corporation, Great Northern Mining, Mount Isa Mines, and Strategic Minerals appear as the top historical operators. Okay, so this gives us a little bit more information where we had a bit of a gap in the last data set. So we can just drill through here. City Gold, where were they based? Okay, here we can see site location. It's all Charters Towers. Um, and if I want to look at mineral development license here, I can go in and have a look again. Okay, it's all Charters Towers. So we know that Charters Towers is the hotspot for critical minerals in Queensland. If I want to look at exploration based for City Gold, I can come down here. And obviously, this is the total leases here that they had. So if I go out here and go City Gold, there's 187 there, right? Okay. And if I just want to like look at how many of them were exploration permits, there's 67 there, mineral development licenses, 57, mining claim, and then down here to mining lease. Okay. So you'll just sort of show me accordingly, okay, up here and here for those figures. So exploration permit minerals, as you can see, most of their Mantle Mining Corporation, also quite big. Mount Isa Mines, massive as well. Okay, so we can really see where the exploration has ramped up historically there. If I want to go to development-based licenses again here and go City Gold, okay, you know, pretty interesting. I can have a look at all the different mine names throughout that region. Queensland Energy Resources is a player, as we sort of mentioned in the last video, an emerging player. So we can sort of see, okay, Gladstone here. Yeah, so a bit there in that Gladstone-based region. So if I go back to the map, I can have a look at the historic leases around Gladstone. Um, Okay, so some of you are probably thinking, why does this matter? Why should I care about this? Queensland's mining landscape has massive continuity. The same corridors active in the early 1900s remain the hotspots today, especially across the eastern and central belts. The clustering of exploration and production sites show exactly where infrastructure, geological potential, and supply chains are already established. The dominance of mining leases provides that or proves that Queensland moved large volumes of projects from exploration to commercial production, making it more mature than many global critical mineral regions. Operators with long histories in data, so City Gold, Strategic Minerals are the players who shaped Queensland's mining identity. The ore type breakdown highlights that Queensland has historically been strongest in hard rock ore and known historic production zones aligned with copper, gold, rare earths, and battery metals. So that was this one over here where we had a lot of hard rock here with how many production leases there were. So it was 7,408 out of that. 3,340 were hard rock. So for investors and mining companies, this data reduces uncertainty. Past activity is the most reliable indicator of future resource potential. So actionable implications here for exploration companies. use historic lease density to target proven mineral corridors rather than greenfield random exploration. High activity zones often concede with existing geotech, seismic, and cost reducing infrastructure. For investors and analysts, treat the historical clusters as early indicators of where the next decade of critical minerals growth will happen, particularly for battery metal demand, copper, nickel, cobalt, and vanadium. The government and policy advisors identify underdeveloped regions with strong historical potential, but gaps in tenure progression from exploration to mining lease. These could be candidates for streamlined permitting. For mining companies, benchmark competitive positioning against historic operators and identify regions where legacy holders have exited and where opening opportunities are for new entrants. And um, for everyone out there watching who's just curious, this is the foundation for a broader statewide model tracking Queensland's full critical minerals value chain, exploration, production, logistics, and economic impact. Thanks for tuning in to this video today, and I'll look forward to catching you in the next video. Cheers, guys.